Yo, what up everyone? Amir Rahimi here, owner of Rapping and Snacking, getting into another hip-hop hot takes video. Hot takes provided by y'all. I'm just giving my input. If I agree, disagree, whatever, hit me up on Instagram and TikTok at Rapping and Snacking. Buy a shirt or some stickers in that link below. Appreciate y'all. Anyways, this is going to be the last hot takes video that I do until I get some new requests. So this is the last one from the current requests that I have. I'm going to be dropping, so stay tuned, I'm going to be dropping a story on Instagram to get more hot takes from y'all, and also something on YouTube. I'm going to be making a post, so make sure you check my channel or get notified or whatever, and I'll be asking for hot takes there too. So I'm going to be getting more hot takes from YouTube and Instagram, so stay tuned there. It's going to be dropping in the next few days or something like that. And we'll get some fresh hot takes. So appreciate y'all who've been rocking and submitting and all that stuff. So let's get into these hot takes for this video. First off, we got someone named Kaikani Karam saying, I want 50 Cent to squash the beef between him and the game. So it's not really a hot take. This is more like a wish. But I think the hot take would be, I think 50 Cent will squash beef with him in the game. And that would be a hot take in my opinion, and that's a no. I don't think 50 Cent is going to squash the beef between him and Game. There's a few reasons why I don't think that's going to happen. One of the main reasons is motive. What would be the motive? What would be the prize for 50 Cent to end a beef with the Game? Not really anything. 50 Cent is established. He doesn't even really need to make music anymore. He's got so many, he's done so well with his investment game, number one. Whether you go back to Vitamin Water, whether you do the stuff when people bought his album with Bitcoin back in the day, so he got Bitcoin, or just so many other things that he's done well. He's got money that way. He has power. His TV show and all that stuff. He's got so many ways of making money that he does not give one crap about the game. Even if he has no problems with the game, what's the benefit? And also, there's a big history between him and the game as well, that there is a lot of stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people don't talk about. I believe there's a murder involved somehow, some way that the game is somehow connected with. I remember seeing this video on YouTube and doing a little bit of research in the background, if my memory serves me right, that is another big factor why them just getting back together, as homies or music collaborators, whatever, just probably won't happen. So there's no real reason why. And 50 Cent is one of the biggest bullies / trolls online. He doesn't really care about anybody. You think this guy cares about the game? On the contrary, the game is always trying to strike it up with 50 Cent in some way. He'll diss him. He's like bipolar. He'll diss him, then he'll want to be his friend, then he'll want to make music, then he'll do this, and then it's like, oh, the Super Bowl, obviously, 50 Cent was there, the game wasn't there, game got offended by that. He gets offended very easily, and he shows his cards all the time. So, no, I don't think that will ever happen. I'd be shocked. Maybe on 50's deathbed, God forbid that happens anytime soon, but, maybe he'll be like, the game, I wish I didn't be mad at you for so long, but that's not going to happen. So, next take, shout out to you. Next take, we got Geo after the MC. This person is saying, De La Soul have a better catalog than Tribe, despite Tribe seeming to be the more celebrated act. This is a good take, and I would say this is kind of a hot take because usually from the Native Tongues movement, you see Tribe Called Quest name the most. And you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and agree. I do believe that De La Soul does have a better catalog than Tribe Called Quest. I think their catalog is more consistent. 3 Feet High and Rising, to De La Soul's Dead, Balloon Mind State, Stakes is High, The Grind Date, the AOI albums, I almost forgot about them, but the AOI albums, The Grind Date, the Anonymous Nobody, etc., they have a really, really, really solid catalog, and not all those are bangers in my opinion, but I do think that their discography is definitely more consistent than Tribe Called Quest. I think the Tribe Called Quest started off so strong with the People's Instinctive album, Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders, and honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of Beats, Rhymes, and Life. I really like half the album, other half I'm just not a big fan of. Then you get the Love Movement, and then you get their album, their last album. So Honestly, I'm just not. I think Tribe is great, but I think they are sometimes a little overrated because just people will only talk about their first three albums and maybe their fourth album and won't talk about anything else. And I think De La Soul has been consistent for far longer, and I think they're just more innovative. However, I think Tribe's high is higher than De La's highs. So that's kind of that, but De La Soul is definitely more consistent. I do think they have the better catalog. I definitely like this take. And De La Soul is Dead is probably my favorite De La Soul album, and it is so freaking good. And especially with what they did with skits in hip hop. There's so many skits in rap music, but they really elevated the skit game, in my opinion. Just listen to 3 Feet High Rising, listen to De La Soul's Dead in particular, and listen to how they really craft that. And they're so innovative. Not to say that Tribe isn't any of these things. They are, just I don't think they're as innovative. Granted, I do like Low End Theory more than anything De La Soul's made, but better group, better catalog. I'm going to give it to De La Soul. I actually want to see what people think about that because that's a dope take. Next up, we got someone named Vinyl Visions. Shout out to Vinyl Visions because he has a great Instagram. I've been following him for a very long time. And he said Houdini doesn't get the props they deserve for their contributions to hip-hop. That's true. Houdini is awesome. And they've been making music, or they were making music in the 80s and 90s and maybe 2000s, I'm kind of forgetting, but their stuff in the 80s is so good, and I think a lot of it sounds fresh as well. I think their stuff in the 90s wasn't as good as their stuff in the 80s, but Houdini is a super, super, super awesome group. I first heard them actually when I bought a best of, I think it was called Funky Beat, the Best of Houdini or something like that, and really that greatest hits, if anyone wants to listen to Houdini, usually I tell people to listen from the beginning, and then go from the first album to the last album and go in that order. Well, I think Houdini is a group that would be good to listen to that greatest hits that I bought, the Funky Beat Best of Houdini, because I think especially since some of my viewers are younger as well, I think that will give you a glimpse into their best hits, and then you can go ahead and listen to that and then see if that's worth your while, and then you can go ahead and listen to their first, second, third, whatever albums, because they have some amazing songs, and you'll be able to tell right off the bat who sampled their stuff, who sampled it, especially their song Friends in particular. But they're really good. Shout out to Vinyl Visions. I agree. Because Houdini is just a really, really, really awesome group. Shout out to them. Next up, we got someone who's basically saying the same thing. This is Kev Buyer 33, and he's saying that IC doesn't get the respect he deserves. So basically on the same length as that Houdini take, saying this person doesn't get enough respect, now saying IC doesn't get enough respect. And I agree. IC is actually one of the very few rappers. I think it's only him and Will Smith, at least off the top of my head. In my opinion, those are the only two rap artists that are more known for their acting career than their rapping career. And obviously, IC is a better rapper than Will Smith. We're not comparing them on that level. I mean, IC's far superior. But I think IC gets, he is so known for Law and Order and his commercials and everything like that I feel like a lot of people forget that was such a great rapper. And that's shocking to me because when you listen to his music, you're like, damn, how do people not bring up his music more than they do? And it's really incredible. He is so dope. But I personally think that he's more known as an actor than a rapper. And that's a shame because, well, it's not a shame necessarily, but I think that we as hip-hop fans need to up Ice-T more because he is that guy. He is incredible. Shout out to Kev Buyer 33. Next up, we got someone named Ba Joe, and this person is saying Spice One's first 3 Jive releases are greater than Tupac's first 3 Interscope releases. Woo! That's tough. And I don't know if Ba Joe did this intentionally because I like how this person says the first 3 Jive releases for Spice One because Spice One had an EP before his debut album. His debut album was called Spice One. It was a self-titled release. But before that, he had an EP called Let It Be Known. So the interesting thing about that is Let It Be Known and Spice One, that album, takes a lot of the songs from Let It Be Known. So it's kind of like, can you really count that? Because pretty much almost half the album was released before. So that's interesting. But Spice One, this is a tough one for me. I'm doing a lot of freestyle in these videos, and it's really tough because all three albums are good by Spice and all three albums are good by Tupac. I think that Tupac has the biggest high out of all the albums. I think Me Against the World is the best album out of any of the Spice and any of the other Tupac albums. But then again, I think Tupacalypse Now might be the worst of the 6 albums, right? So, and that's not to say Tupacalypse Now is a bad album, because I think Tupacalypse Now is actually a really good album. But compared to the album Spice 1, I think it's a little worse. And then Spice 1 has 187 he wrote, which this guy's put me kind of in a sticky situation, because Ice Cube, Tupac even said that 187 he wrote by Spice 1, and this I'm pretty sure it's a direct quote, he said is the hardest shit ever recorded. So Tupac gained direct influence from that Spice 1 album as well, and that 187 he wrote album is freaking incredible. So it's very hard for me to kind of, if you can tell me to compare one album to another album, I can probably do it, but 3 vs. 3 is a little tough. Like that on the nose, is they're very, very, very solid and competitive in my opinion. But then you get Strictly for My Brothers by Tupac, and that is one of the that's probably the most underrated album in Tupac's catalog. It's a very, very, very dope album. But then you got America's Nightmare by Spice. Dude, you can already tell I'm going crazy off this take. I don't like this take because it's stressing me out. Bajo, shout out to you. I won't hate you if you agree with this person, and I won't fight for Tupac's is better or Spice One's is better. It's kind of a coin toss. They're both so exceptional, but that's my opinion. Next up, we got Michael Carvajal. This is actually my homie. Big shout out to Michael Carvajal. He's saying you should start doing food hot takes. I agree. Drop them. I have stuff to say about food. I should actually record me eating sometimes, because people always laugh. My friends always laugh when I eat and I start talking about, oh, this is good because of this is bad because of that. They just start laughing because I say, I guess, very weird or abstract things, but I guess that's just me. But yeah, drop your stuff below and I will answer them. I will. Maybe I should do like those freaking eating stuff on camera stuff and do stuff like that. I might have to put some food on this table. Shout out to you, Mikey. Next up, we got someone named Brent Adam S. Jr. 100, and he is saying Untitled Unmastered is a classic. I remember actually answering this on Instagram. So, I answered this on Instagram and actually did a poll, if I recall, and I asked, the followers, do you think this album is a classic? And I think I did a poll, and I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But anyways, I remember replying to this nonetheless, and I basically said, you know what, guys, girls, let's stop using the word classic for a week. We all need a break from using it, because there is no way that Untitled Unmastered is a classic. Kendrick Lamar, dope artist, nothing against him, nothing against Untitled Unmastered, but pretty much in the title, Kendrick is telling you, this is a low-effort project. Not only does it have no track names, it's also unmastered, whatever. These are just songs left on the cutting room floor, and no disrespect, I honestly snoozed through most of this release. I think the Levitate song is the most popular one, and I think for good reason, because it's the most catchy, and I think it's the best track on there. There's probably 2 songs that I actually liked on the thing. I'm happy I got to hear them. I'm happy I got to hear the whole thing and blah, blah, but let's be honest, it's not that good. And on top of that, a classic, we need to stop using the word classic. Classic is kind of one of those things that I will actually end up doing a video on this, but I'm going to define my opinion of classic, and I'll have people sound off in the comments of what, if they agree with me, if they disagree with me. But just like a quick summary of what I think. I think, number one, classic means it has to kind of stand the test of time. The formula has worked through this amount of years, is possibly influence people as well, but it still sounds fresh to this day. It doesn't sound dated. That's why if you hear some albums from the 80s, they sound dated and it doesn't bump anymore, or the lyrics are corny or whatever, then that's not classic, because it did not stand that test of time. But you get an album like, for example, Dr. Dre's The Chronic, it still influences people, still gets played on the radio, it still is walkout music for some people, blah, blah, whatever, it's sampled, referenced, etc., and it still sounds great. that's something that's a classic. So in my opinion, I think 5 years is too soon for something to be considered a classic until the master dropped, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. So I think like 5 years is too soon, and I think it has to be really dope. Did it stand the test of time? Did it have some sort of impact or shake the room a little bit? Is it really impactful in a certain way? And I'm not saying it has to sell 10 million copies or anything like that, but it also can't just be like something that 20 people have heard and it's a classic. Come on, bro. So Untitled Unmastered, no, and it's possibly the weakest release in Kendrick's catalog since he was actually putting out albums, right? Like, if you want to call Section 80 an album, whatever. But since Section 80 and on, Untitled Unmastered is easily his worst release, and it's not a classic. I want to see if anyone here thinks that's a classic. I think classic is just too overused, and you shouldn't have more than like a few albums out of any year called classics, roughly. So that's just my opinion. I'm definitely going to do a video on this. This is a hot topic, and a lot of people are calling their stuff classic or other people's stuff classic, especially with these album anniversaries always coming around. I'm like, y'all just really like to throw that word around. I don't like it. I don't like using that word. Maybe I'm just an old man or something. I don't know. Next up, for the last hot take of this video, we got someone named Fezga saying not listening to an artist because he got beef with your fav artist is the dumbest shit. Yes, I'm very happy about this take. I actually did reply to this one too. I'm a big time fan of this take. And yeah, man, like, I've done a lot of corny things throughout my life and a lot of things that I regret when listening to music, but this is one thing that I've never done. I have never not listened to somebody because of their beef. I remember when I found out that Eazy-E and Dr. Dre were dissing each other, and Ice Cube dissing WA and all this stuff, and Tupac and Biggie were dissing each other back in middle school. I was like, okay, they still make good music. I'm still going to listen to them. But I've seen people saying, nah, man, Nas is whack, Jay-Z's the best. Or they'll say stuff like, man, Tim Dog sucks, Dr. Dre all day. Or they'll say like, fuck Luke and 2 Live Crew. And they'll say all these things, and they'll just ride with one person, whatever. It's like, dude, like, is the rapper your boyfriend? You know what I mean? Like, are you attracted to them? Like, is there... Or are you only able to ride with one person? There's a world of music out there, and who gives a shit? Like, you don't have to pledge alliance to a certain person. Like, imagine not listening to DMX's music because Corrupt dissed him on calling out names. Like, I mean, this stuff is so stupid, man. People, it's like they're ride or die for a certain artist, and it's like there's so much music out there. We gotta appreciate the stuff that we want to appreciate now because some other rapper has a temporary feud with that other person. Because you'd be missing out on a ton of music if that were the case. And I just find it so funny. Like, there's literally grown men in my comments, bro. I'll post something and I'll be like, Jay-Z, The Blueprint, Anniversary, whatever. And then someone will be in there, Nas destroyed him on Ether. Like, just totally out of context. Like, even if you think that, keep that shit to yourself. I don't give a shit about Nas's Ether. I want you to talk about either Song Cry or All I Need or Renegade or something like that. Like, I don't give a shit if Nas, or say like, oh, Jay-Z sucks, Nas is better. Like, bro, like, we ain't even talking about that. Or I'll post 2 Live Crew. Oh, Luke sucks, man. Eazy-E, R.I.P. What? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's so corny. It's like grown men, grown women, not really even grown women. I don't really see them do it, just keeping it real. These grown men, man, they really be salty in these comments defending their favorite rappers for no reason. No reason. It's so dumb. It's so corny. So this is one thing I've never done. If you dislike a rapper or artist or group or whatever because someone doesn't like them or whatever, let's grow up. It's not your beef. It's their beef. And a lot of the times these people see each other in public and don't do shit anyways. So that's my opinion. Gonna collect more hot takes from y'all very soon in the coming days after this video drops. I appreciate y'all as always. It's always love. If I agree with you, if I disagree with you, I respect you the same. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit me up on Instagram and TikTok at Rappin' and Snackin'. I appreciate y'all as always, and I will talk to y'all next time with some new hot takes. Bless.